We slightly trimmed the cartilage and tied the tip cartilage together. We discussed the surgery with the goal of improving the bulbous nose. Even when viewed slightly from the side, the bulbous nose stands out a bit. The swelling has gone down a lot over the 3 weeks, making the bridge of the nose more defined, and you can see it looks sharper. Today we'll be looking at the before and after photos of a woman in her 20s who underwent nose surgery. Let's review her photos before and after the procedure. I'll be giving a review based on these images. When she first came in, her overall impression was a bit plain. She had a bulbous nose tip and a low nasal bridge. And when viewed slightly from the front, her nose was curved in a reverse C shape, which was a concern for her. It wasn't extremely severe, but it was noticeable. Her nose also gave off a slightly short impression. From the front, her nostrils were quite visible. She decided to improve these aspects. She wanted her nose to look more striking from the front. Since the nasal bridge bone looked a bit wide and flat, we performed an osteotomy to make the nose appear more defined. When I usually recommend an osteotomy, it's for people whose nasal bones are rather flat. In those cases, the nose doesn't look very defined. So when you look at the nasal bone from the side, if it's flat like this, by performing an osteotomy and bringing the bones together like this, it actually creates a more prominent and raised effect. At the same time, the boundary with the cheek next to it becomes more defined as well. So for that purpose, to make the nose look more defined, I planned the osteotomy. If you look at the tip of the nose in this patient, the cartilage is rather well developed in this case. Usually the tip of the nose is made up of 3 parts. First, of course, there's the skin on the outside. Underneath that, there's the flesh, the dermis, and below that, there's the cartilage. Other than that, there isn't anything else. Well, there is the mucous membrane and such, but typically, these 3 things are what determine whether someone has a bulbous nose or not. In the case of this patient, since you can slightly see the inner cartilage, it means the skin is quite thin. Also, judging by the size of the cartilage that's visible, it wasn't particularly large, and the amount of flesh didn't seem to be that much either. So the bulbous nose wasn't very severe, but because the shape of the cartilage itself was showing through, it was a bit spread out, so during surgery, we slightly trimmed the cartilage and tied the tip cartilage together. We discussed the surgery with the goal of improving the bulbous nose. Even when viewed slightly from the side, the bulbous nose stands out a bit. There's just a slight pinched look as well, though it's very subtle. When it comes to choosing an implant, this person wanted something glamorous, but in my opinion, their nose was a bit short. So if we lower the tip and the nose becomes too long, it gives a more masculine impression rather than a feminine one. So I was very careful in adjusting the length of the nose. As for the implant, the height I usually recommend is, when viewed from the patient's side, starting from just above the black part of the eye. That's what I recommend. Of course, depending on personal preference, there are cases where it's made higher or lower than this, but generally this is the level I recommend. I suggested slightly lowering the tip of the nose and recommended this shape where the tip is brought down a bit. The patient also agreed with this approach, so we decided to proceed with the surgery that way. At the 1 week mark, there is still a bit of swelling, but even so, when viewed from the front, the shading on the sides of the nose has become more defined, and as the nasal bone has become a bit slimmer, you can see that it looks straighter now. It's not just an implant issue, but also because the nasal bone angle has changed, so this is a result of that change. When looking at the nostrils from the front, it's not pointy, but it looks more prominent and less of the nostrils are visible. The same for the diagonal view. The lines are a bit more defined, and from the side, there's still some swelling between the eyebrows, so it looks a bit unnatural. But even so, you can see that the tip of the nose extends out smoothly. At the 1 month mark, it looks much slimmer. The swelling has gone down a lot over the 3 weeks, making the bridge of the nose more defined, and you can see it looks sharper. However, the bridge hasn't become too high, so it doesn't give off a masculine vibe, and instead it gives a more feminine impression. It feels like the height of the bridge was adjusted quite well. Also, from the front, the nostrils are less visible, but you can clearly see that the tip of the nose has become slimmer. Although the patient had thin skin, the tip of the nose doesn't show through. So I think this is a case where the surgery went well. Even when viewed from a slight angle, the lines fall much more smoothly, and the side profile is the most important aspect. The bridge of the nose flows smoothly and gently from the forehead, and it seems to have formed a pretty almost straight line. At the same time, the tip of the nose isn't too pointy, and the nasolabial angle has become sharper and more defined compared to before the surgery. So you can see that it's been improved. You can also roughly see the effects of the osteotomy from the side view. If you look from the side, you can clearly see the boundary between the cheek and the nasal bone. Compared to before the surgery, when viewed from the side, there used to be a somewhat blunt feeling here. but now it looks much more defined. It seems like this is a case where the osteotomy results came out very clearly and effectively. Today we looked at a woman in her 20s who underwent nose surgery and reviewed her before and after surgery photos. Next time, I'll come back with another, even better case. Thank you.